Welcome ladies and gentlemen to a casted game of Age of Empires 4, and today we've got beastyqt playing on the east side of the map in yellow as the English. He's going to go up against none other than loueMT, playing in red as the Abbasid dynasty. Welcome to the Ancient Spires, a map that's been there since the beginning of Age of Empires 4, has split some decisions as to the popularity, whether people like it or not. In any case, it's a hybrid map, that's what we've got for today. And we've got the early dock coming out for the English, which you'd always expect on a hybrid map like this. The Abbasid dynasty doing the same. The Abbasid dynasty, of course, benefiting from the cheaper docks, and the English benefiting from the cheaper fishing ships, costing them 67 wood, whereas for the Abbasid dynasty, costing them 75 wood. And well, on Ancient Spires, it's important to get that fishing economy up and rolling quickly, because it can spiral into a large economy as the game progresses. Best fishing ships are out for both players, and it'll be interesting to see how the strategy emerges for these two civilizations. The Abbasid dynasty can be very strong in the economy, especially if they go up with the economic wing, going for a second town centre. Maybe trade is an option. Since Season 4, there's been a lot more options available for the Abbasid dynasty. The English, on the other hand, do have some options themselves. Could open with the Abbey of the Kings, get a king out for early harassment. But usually, the Council Hall is still very, very strong. The Council Hall, an incredibly strong landmark for the English. We're expecting to see that today, but you never know. Could be an interesting strategy. Now, the English could be looking to be aggressive early on to try and punish a two-town centre play for the Abbasid dynasty. That could be an option. So the Abbasid dynasty, if they do go for that straight two-town centre build, need to be able to have some troops to defend. Now, fast castle is also an option, so there's plenty of options on hybrid maps because of the fact that you have a large amount of food income coming in, and has to be said, for the Abbasid dynasty, the second town centre play is not as strong as it would be in, say, for example, Dry Arabia. Simply because of the fact that there's fishing involved. So, while both players technically have only one town centre, you know, the docks kind of act as a town centre themselves, produce more fishing ships, more eco units to get that food eco running and rolling, and so it really does limit the impact that a second town centre has for the Abbasid dynasty. Speaking of trade, that could be an option. The neutral trade post, not in the most ideal locations for trade. Actually, this is a pretty good one. In the north corner of the map for loueMT, could be an option. You'll be able to see which landmark he goes up with, of course. Not landmark, rather, but which wing of the landmark. House of Wisdom. Staying with 3 villages and gold for now. We'll need to afford that upgrade. Whichever he decides to do, it could go for Fertile Crescent if it goes for the eco wing, reducing the cost of economy buildings and houses by 25%. Boot camp could be an option if he's anticipating a kind of strong feudal age play. Difficult to scout that this early though, because of course, you don't really give away your strategy this early. Usually, at least, not on hybrid maps, because you'll expect to see a lot of villages on wood in any case, and it doesn't see the landmark, of course, placed down for Beastie at all yet. Not ready to go to the next stage just yet. Good number of fishing ships out for Beastie, 5 in total. 4 for the Abbasid dynasty, loueMT. And he's going to go up with the culture wing, so it looks like it might be a fast castle here for loueMT, and it's going to be quite a nice build, you feel, here on Ancient Spires. The food income should be strong from the fishing economy, and does only have 3 villages and gold. Might need to switch a couple of more if he wants to go for a straight fast castle. Might look to get some units in the first instance though. No landmark yet for Beastie. There it is. There is the Council Hall. Going to go up with 5 villagers, so looking to put on some pressure quickly. And he has a decent number of villagers on wood. Still a decent number of villagers on gold as well. 5 on gold. So yeah, kind of anticipating maybe a fast castle from Beastie as well. Maybe a White Tower build. White Tower, a landmark for the castle age for the English. Very strong. Can produce units from, well, basically any unit type, and produces them twice as fast. And of course the White Tower, very strong defensive landmark. I say defensive, can be used offensively as well. Can really pile on the pressure if you put it in a strategic location. Speaking of strategic locations, this could be a very nice position for a White Tower. Especially with loueMT being pretty greedy with a culture wing. But we do see beastyqt now pulling away villages off of gold, so it's not going to be a straight fast castle, but it could be something that is on his mind as the game progresses, because the transition to feudal age to castle age is pretty quick on Ancient Spires, especially when you start thinking about multiple docks. Speaking of multiple docks, there's a second dock for Beastie with 2 fishing ships already out, and loueMT going out for a second dock a little bit later, and that doesn't really bode well. Like, he's behind on fishing economy, and that's going to hurt. Although the food economy looking strong for him at the moment. It's probably aided by the fact that he's on berries. Abbasid dynasty obviously getting some bonuses with the berries being a bit faster to pick. Both players going up to the next stage almost at identical times. It's going to be stable archery range for the Abbasid dynasty, typical openings. And we do see the longbows starting to stream forward now. Scout heading forward too. Let's get that valuable information. We'll be looking to get preservation of knowledge, I suspect. We shall see if loueMT clicks that. Needs a bit more gold to do so. Not a lot, just a smidge. No fishing ships out, and the problem for loueMT is that this dock is very exposed. The longbows can range them pretty nicely, and if Beastie gets a nice mass of them, that could be a problem. Golden Age Tier 1 coming out for the Abbasid dynasty, boosting up that economy just a little bit more. Longbows getting dragged away by the scout. Not sure Beastie wants to head in that direction because the scout will heal himself up. Yeah, Beastie does now redirect them back to the front of the base. Preservation knowledge will be coming in soon. There's horsemen and archers on the field now for loueMT. Be interesting to see if Beastie has gone for a barracks himself. He has indeed, so it's going to be a barracks addition. Now the nice thing about the English civilization is they do get man-at-arms in this age, which not many civilizations get. In fact, only two civilizations. It would be the English and the Holy Roman Empire. And the man-at-arms can be pretty tanky, especially with iron undermesh upgrades coming in. That can make the man-at-arms a really nice meat shield for those longbowmen. Even against horsemen, they trade pretty well. Spearmen are pretty squishy, so I mean, I have to say, playing this matchup myself, and playing in the English civilization a lot myself, I do prefer going for man-at-arms and longbows if you go for a heavy feudal push. Of course, it does delay your castle age a little bit with the gold requirement, and they're pretty expensive units, but they can really tank against horsemen, and the archers really struggle to take them apart if they're in large numbers. But you do need the iron undermesh upgrade if you want to do that kind of strategy. As two spearmen, a couple of longbowmen do head forward. Beastie need to micro that, of course. Doesn't want to lose a spearman for cheap. The mobility, of course, in the hands of the Abbasid dynasty with those horsemen. Backing off, just both players respecting each other for now. The economy looks stronger, though, for Beastie with the double dock coming in earlier. It does have 5 fishing ships. It looks like 5 fishing ships is the style of play here for Beastie per pond. loueMT just going for 4 on this one. And, yeah, just going for 4 on each pond. Actually, I'm sure someone's crunched some numbers somewhere to see which is better. loueMT needs to move that scout away. He does get away in the end. And he manages to keep that scout alive. Valuable unit. It's going to be a third dock coming out for Beastie. Wants that food, and slowly but surely, loueMT is going to be heading behind on economy. Does have plenty of stone, and is gathering more. He just stopped gathering. I think it's going to be a second town centre. Question is, where does he place it? You're going to be placing it here in a nice spot, actually, near the deer, berries. Could even gather from the shorefish here. Not a huge amount of walking to be done. So horsemen archers do head forward there for loueMT, looking to try and dish out some damage. Beastie keeping his army together, spears and longbows. Fishing ships get pulled away. Longbows do get a good volley of arrows on the horsemen. That's the problem with horsemen. If you dive, you need to dive, but the trouble is the spearmen are involved, and it really is a micro battle at this point. Board outpost coming up on the deer pack. That's actually a boar. Beastie going for the boar on the field with an outpost there. That would be a really nice spot because this is a position he can fall back to with his army. It'll be a position where he'll benefit from the network of castles bonus, which will increase the attack speed of his units by 15%. I believe it used to be 20%, so it has been a recent nerf. And loueMT looking to try and equalise the economy. He's going for his third dock himself, but a bit slow to that compared to his opponent at least. Going to be 3 ponds each. Horsemen cycling on the east side. Looking to try and get some value, and this is the benefit of having that mobility. You can actually really kind of follow on the east side and try and find out where your opponent is if they're being a bit greedy, taking some of pocket economies outer in the edges of the map. Won't find anything here though. Beastie is going for the center more than anything with the ball. Looking to wall up as well. Try and prevent himself from getting raided. That's something the English are a bit prone to. Especially when you think about a full infantry composition like this. Mobility can really hurt you. So he's going to be looking to wall up his base. Prevent raids coming in. Forward outpost in the middle of the map on the second side. Looking to Try and get some map control, some map vision. We'll snipe out a fishing ship, just the one for now, maybe two. Should be able to get the second. He does indeed, and that's 2 fishing economy down for loueMT. Good value. Horseman does snipe out the villagers building. I think there were maybe been 2. At least a few. Spearmen are there for defense and longbows too. Horsemen going to head away and run away for now. This dock will be denied and the fishing ship will be nullified. We're going to try and drop off another bit of food, but Beastie spots it. Does drop off the food. Oh, just about survives with that, of course, with that fishing ship. Longbows and horsemen there. And the horsemen really have to tank from those longbows. They're doing pretty good work here with steeled arrow there. No iron undermesh coming in. Well, it is coming in a couple of seconds, so loueMT won't want to take a fight until that's in. Steeled arrow is there for Beastie. Heading into the 11th minute of the game, that second town center is starting to really help loueMT. Might be thinking about going to the castle age. That could be key. Could be going up with the military wing. We shall see. Man-at-arms could be a nice play here for loueMT. Horseman still on the east side, just keeping Beastie honest at home, making sure that he doesn't be too greedy with how much he's moving out. Oh yeah, keeping the army there in the middle there. Beastie will be looking to maybe snipe some of the horsemen. loueMT needs to be careful. Does snipe a fishing ship, nicely done. Needs to pull away now because the longbows are in that direction. Will loueMT now send another battalion? Sending another group of horsemen there to the center of the map. And this is what you get with mobility. You can prod and poke, pull and push your opponent's army on the field. But there are man-at-arms, and this is what we talked about before. Adding man-at-arms is actually a really nice addition here for Beastie. Has 4 of them. Will act as a very nice meat shield. Now the castle age will be coming up for loueMT, and that's a concern because Beastie's timing here, this timing push is very nice. 12 minutes, he recognizes his opponent might be going to the castle age. Doesn't really spot the number of units he would expect for a feudal age push, and this is a big dump of resources into that castle age. He's going with the military wing. Will get 2 camel riders, but he'll need to hold off. He needs to hold his position. He needs to get up to the next stage, make it count, get man-at-arms, get something. Because Ram Rush is coming in for the English now, and the typical matchup, typical state of the game where one player goes up to the castle age is very vulnerable, and he can't take this fight right now. He needs to wait to get to that castle age. The problem for the Abbasid dynasty is they can't rush up that castle age. He's stuck with the timing. He cannot make it go any faster. He needs to wait for the veterancy upgrades before he attacks. He's going to send another group of horsemen to try and cause some pressure, but Beastie has the army he needs, and loueMT is going to lose a lot. Loses 2 horsemen, maybe within a third. But on the back of this, the rams are coming out. Push is heavy, and the man-at-arms is going to be a big difference, you feel. Rams are working on the blacksmith. And production, stable, and the archer range will be next. The range for Beastie is going to be important. Would be expecting to see a couple of villagers heading forward to drop an outpost for Beastie. We shall see if he decides to do that or not. Horseman, we could try and pick off. Oh, that's a bad trade against the spearmen. The spearmen chew through them. And now on the east side, beastyqt sending some longbowmen just to see what his opponent's up to if they're trying to raid. Beastie spots the second town center, picking off villagers there. And are idled. Yeah, this is bad for loueMT. He's losing a lot, but he will have the upgrades. The castle age coming in now. And the rams immediately going to start focusing on the secondary town center. Villagers should pop out to try and torch the rams. The villagers aren't there yet. The army's out of position a little bit. But the rams will be pulled back. They're pretty fast to do so. The longbows are going to fire off on the villagers. We'll lose 1, lose 2. And manages to survive with the rest. But this is a position where loueMT does not want to be in. He is getting the veterancy upgrades for his horsemen and archers. Does have the 2 camels on the field. Does he have barracks? He is getting man-at-arms. That's the key bit of detail. He needs to spam those out. Does have a decent number of barracks to do it from. This is interesting. Just depends on the timing here. Beastie needs to push on. And loueMT needs to hold. He needs to take a decisive fight, which is often the key with the English matchup. Going up against the English, you often take very key decisive fights. Villagers garrison again. And yeah, loueMT, now's not the time. Veterancy isn't there yet. We'll try and get some blacksmith upgrades as well. Wedge rivets rather. And that's the key detail. The blacksmith being taken out earlier meant they had to rebuild that blacksmith. He's taking the fight now with the veterancy upgrades in. Veteran archers, veteran horsemen against spearmen and longbowmen. The spearmen on the front line doing great work against cavalry. Cavalry are melting. This is looking very bad for loueMT because the man-at-arms, whilst they are feudal age man-at-arms, they're still tanking a lot, and the castle age is now in for Beastie. He's taking the fight in any case. Not even looking to get the veterancy upgrades just yet. But Man-at-arms are still early man-at-arms. You can see they're still tanking against the veteran archers, and that is going to be the key detail here. The man-at-arms for the Abbasid dynasty not doing enough. Doesn't have enough army there for him. The longbows are heading back now for Beastie. He doesn't want to push the issue too much because there are one or two knights there, and the castle age man-at-arms are starting to push it back. Beastie escaping with his army. Now he's looking to get to veterancy for his longbowman, but he's done a lot of damage. Eco is 62 to 62. Both players now in the castle age. Heading into the 16th minute mark of the game. beastyqt wasn't able to finish the game off here, but is pulling back now. Veterancy is in, and that makes such a huge difference. He'll be able to do a lot of good damage against the knights and the man-at-arms. Man-at-arms still attacking quite a lot because of the wedge rivets upgrade. But beastyqt should be able to do a decent amount of damage. Veteran archers for the Abbasid dynasty looking to focus fire on the longbowman. Last man-at-arms alive. Now this is a bad fight for loueMT. He has to back off there. Does have the movement speed at his advantage, with the range coming in clutch there for Beastie and his English civilization. Still out on the boar carcass, gathering that precious food. As we now possibly head into a bit of a lull in the game because both players just have had a lot of action. 64 to 66 economy. beastyqt definitely has the numbers of military, and loueMT has to be careful. Now one thing he could opt for is looking to build a mangonel on the field, which is something that the Abbasid dynasty can do. Struggling on the wood for that though, because he's obviously producing a lot of archers. Looking to get the composite bows, which reduces the reload time of archers by 33%. But that's obviously a nice boost for them because, you know, the network of castles is a 15% bonus attack speed. Now, it obviously depends what the reload time is and the attack speed is generally, how much that works out percentage. I'm sure someone's worked out the numbers, because of course reload speed is very different to attack speed. I wonder what is actually better. Something we need to find out. In any case, I don't believe they have the reload speed here documented, so that's something to maybe do some research into. Let me know in the comment section below if you know. Be interesting to know about. Man-at-arms heading on the north, and that will split the army for loueMT. That might be an opportunity for beastyqt to now push in on the west side. loueMT's economy has recovered. It's adding in a couple of crossbow as well. Very infantry heavy, both players. And now is able to two-shot these man-at-arms, especially with a couple of crossbows in. Now this is the nice benefit that the English have recently got with their Council Hall. Council Hall can actually produce crossbowmen. They weren't able to do that at the start of the journey with Age of Empires 4, but they certainly can now. loueMT looking to pick off some reinforcements rather. Beastie heading west, going to be picking off villages, fishing ships. I'm not sure what these guys are up to. I think loueMT's just sacrificing them at this point. There's no fishing economy there to be had anyway. loueMT heading forward, looking to try and dish out some damage himself. A couple of man-at-arms going on the north for loueMT, looking to pick off some stray villagers, but there's nothing there to be had. And beastyqt quite content on just torching down these houses for now, as he deals with this oncoming assault. Man-at-arms in good numbers. The archers are going to have to focus fire on the longbows. Now these archers are kind of out of position. These two man-at-arms, 5 man-at-arms, 6 man-at-arms almost. I'm going to take them apart. Something he needs to back away from. loueMT cannot take this fight. Alright, it's going to get that outpost there. A lot of villagers will go down in the gold. That's a juicy pick for MT. He might look to decide to just take out the villagers rather than focus on the army. Might be a bad idea, and BC looks to fire back with his villagers. The short bow is working. Looks off a decent number. Equalises the economy quite a lot. 70 to 70. Very back and forth game, but the trouble is he traded a lot to do so. loueMT lost a lot of the military there. 72 military to 26. And BC has 2 fully fledged armies here. One at the back of the base of loueMT. One heading in that direction, you feel, very soon. Man-at-arms going to chase this down, mostly longbows. There are a couple of crossbows in the mix there for Beastie, with a couple of man-at-arms acting as a meat shield. So Beastie going to get really good value out of this army, especially with the kiting that's going on. Spearman acting as a heavy meat shield. Man-at-arms continue to pour out of those barracks. Beastie keeps picking off villagers on the wood line, and that is looking strong. Villagers, though, are in the ascendancy for loueMT. He's ahead by 1. It keeps topsy turvying. A couple of man-at-arms on the east that were there are now looking to get some damage. Longbow's doing so well to kite here, and for a lot of weak man-at-arms, I'm not sure if loueMT can deal with this. That is a problem. Longbow's doing really good work. He's got the secondary upgrade there. Oh, this could be game. He might lose a lot of villagers here on the town centre. At least a lot of them will be idled. loueMT spots it, and he's going to move those villagers away. Trouble is, he needs something to do with that. He can't quite just do that yet. Another army here coming on the east. The military numbers, all those villagers are going to be dying very... Well, maybe not, actually. Oh, yeah, he spots it. Now that village count going to really dwindle. He's got a lot of idle villagers as well. 8 in this town centre. And Beastie taking a bit of an RFI. He backs away for now, but it's going to continue to assault. And there it is, ladies and gentlemen. loueMT lost a lot of economy. Lost a lot of military. And beastyqt wins on Ancient Spires.